Vice Chair. Okay, let's go and get started. I'll call to order a meeting of the Marine Resources Task Force. All stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from February 12th?
Mr. Chairman, can we do a call to order and a roll call, please?
Okay. Leach, present. Say your name and you're here.
Renee Jeffrey Kyle here.
Greg Holmes here.
Steve Johnson here.
Jennifer Rusk here.
Greg Fossum here.
That's everybody.
Excellent.
Liaison is present.
Judge sheet staff.
Okay. Okay, everybody had a chance to review their February 12 minutes?
Yes.
Aye, aye.
Any changes? Okay, I'll make a motion, we approve them.
Greg Holmes, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Public comment. You want to speak? Just go up to the box-looking microphone, say your name, and say what's on your mind.
Hi, my name is Bob Karen. I live in Waterside. Here, there's a group of us here representing EBIA and the people that live along Bay Beach. It's about the boating safety zone back in the bay. That's on the agenda today, and I understand you're taking that up and moving ahead with it. We really appreciate that. If there's anything we can do to help you with pictures, videos, questions, anything we put ahead, how to do that. So.
Okay, with that, anybody else?
Good afternoon. I appreciate your doing this and our being here.
State your name for the record.
Dave Miser, here representing EBIA as president of EBIA and as president of the Harbor Point Association. I've also Minnesota. I'm born and raised Land O'Lakes. I've owned boats in all years. Carry both sides of it. My unit overlooks the Coon Key Canal, and I watch a lot of the boat traffic. And I would estimate that probably about 30% of the boats are going beyond the minimum weight that has historically been observed in the channel. The two basic issues that you're addressing we look at are, number one, boat safety, and because of the volume of slower boats and the a number of faster boats going through that canal, it creates a real issue. We have a lot of boats coming out of the Fishtail Canal because of rentals, a lot of minimally experienced boat operators. In fact, the other day there was a pontoon that came out, had to turn in circles several times to be able to get traffic. There's also a lot of kayaks that come through there, and again, with the faster boats, I see that as a real for the additional 4 to 5 minutes it takes to go from one end of the Coon King Canal to the other at closed throttle, it frankly, I don't believe, in my opinion, is worth the risk of a boating or a manatee accident. Thank you.
Anybody else?
My name's Rick Rosen. Live at Windward Point Condos overlooking Estero Bay. I guess I just saw a note about this meeting in the sandpaper, and I'm here. I don't know what we're supposed to do. Are you going to discuss this further, or are we just going to make our statements and then sit down? A little confused here at the process, I guess, if you could help me with that to start out with.
We're in the public comment phase. First item on our We're going to have a presentation by the town, and we'll fill you in all the details about where we are.
Okay. Well, I'd only like to echo what these guys are saying in terms of safety concerns. I'm also confused that parts of the Back Bay, which I call between here and Coon Key, why there is some other areas that are no wake zones. And that's a question I have. And then I have a question on removing a large sign that we had at Windward Point that asked people to be in no wake as they go into Fishtail Marina. The new sign that's been put out there faces, hard to explain, but it faces people coming down from Fort Myers Beach City. The people that are coming from the south don't see that sign, and I've really noticed a lot of increased speed down that channel into Fishtail Marina because there are no signs that, they don't see that sign that asks them to reduce the speed and be a no wake zone. And I'm assuming that that is a no wake zone just because it's a channel going in there. I've noticed the increased speeds as you took down that sign. The reason that people in my building said the sign, they asked the gentlemen that were taking it down why, and they said it's confusing to the public. So I'm not sure what words no wake zone public, but I guess.
Anybody else want to talk? Okay, let's move on to the first item. Everybody a background. This is brought to the attention of the council. Went to council. Probably know the history that they maps. This was always a 25-mile-an-hour zone. After Hurricane Irma, they went to put up signs. Them with the signs that match the maps. It's been years since they've been de facto wakeless. Signs. I appreciate your confusion. It's a quilt of different stations back there. Some are manatee zones year-round, some are manatee zones. I don't quite understand the history, but you do have the council gave the town the direction to move ahead with this. We can't just do whatever we want. Town council can't, the town itself can't. We have to go find reasons according to the ordinance. Now, the ordinances have something in there that sound promising, but their interpretation is not. Things like protection of private property, docks and such, is not my understanding of valid reason. There are reasons. Town with Chad and Chelsea have been looking at strategy to figure out the best way we can come up with. Because really, if you can get the speed limit reduced year-round, it doesn't matter whether it's because of manatees or whether it's because of something else, covers everything. That's where we are. So, Chelsea, you want to come up and?
Can I just add one thing? Just so the town did not change the signs. It was not the town of Fort Myers. I keep hearing people say that the town did this and the town did not do this.
Figured it'd be best to sit. This will be a while. My name is Chelsea O'Reilly. I'm the Public Works Director for the town of Fort Myers Beach. I recognize some of the names from public comment, so please. Town council gave staff, town manager who gave staff direction to actually funding in this. I believe you update that town council did. Where we stand right now, according to the statute, there's two paths you can take. Draft ordinance to town Friday. Packet because we're trying to rush and get it together and That addresses, which Brad can go in depth because he's that nature. Longer path that takes. Both are lengthy, but the south end, fishtail, right now we have a letter of interest out for engineering. That statute says that we have viable evidence. Letter of interest should be coming back. Contractor out. Basically, what municipalities have done in the past is video documenting, counting. Once we get that, the problem is the FWC is very vague. Their requirements. I asked them, I said, do you have 5 boats within 20 minutes? Does that count as being that number? We're of the things that we can Friday.
So, I just did a quick public voting restricted areas. If you, as it stands right now, this covers most of Barrow Island. Year-round zone on the north island, and you go during the summer when the manatees are here, and 25 miles an hour during the winter when the manatees are theoretically not here. Now from 30-something to 57, kind of in there, which is 25 year-round, but it is seasonal. Add to some of the confusion. This is the low-hanging fruit that Chelsea was speaking toward. That, we don't need FWC's review on, so boat ramps, launching and landing facilities that are available to the public. So I've done very scouting around that area. I didn't see anything. There is a observation/fishing pier to the. Don't think that will qualify, but if there's a boat ramp or a kayak launch landing facility public for FWC, even if you charge the public to use that, it can qualify for a in that area 500 feet radius of idle speed around that kayak/landing. Marine fuel facilities also idle speed. Way. Low speed is fender bridges and canals, less than 75 exclusion zones for public rest. Council will see on Friday. This is, so we did an inventory around the island and got the launching landing facilities.
Let me touch on this real quick because there is still a process that we have to follow because it is a state. It's just not as a lengthy process as the other. Will go more in depth, but FWC is still have to communicate with the Coast Guard and Army Corps of Engineers, just to show that there's some form of communication or coordination even for this local ordinance. But this go in further that tackle these smaller items right now while we're trying to. We have finally gotten reports from FWC and the Sheriff's Office, and in my opinion, there's not substantial evidence there based on those reports that we received that will build a case. We need why the letter of interest is out.
Okay, so moving on to 1C, which is requires review before you can enact the ordinance. Blind corners, unsafe levels of traffic congestion, hazardous levels or currents, as well as accident reports, uniform boating citations, vessel traffic studies, or other credible data to demonstrate a significant risk of collision, significant threat. So that is what Chelsea's been referring to as we put out a letter of interest to get a contractor in to provide FWC that evidence that it may or may not be a significant threat to boating safety. This is the area, again, 37 to 57 is where the channel is, and then you can see that it's slow speed April 1st through November 15th, and 25 miles an hour November 16th through March 31st. So the questions again, blind corner, that radius is feet. I don't think it'll qualify as a blind corner. Traffic congestion, that's what the study is going to be for. Hazardous water levels or hazardous currents probably will not qualify. Again, getting a study done to demonstrate that it may or may not be a significant threat to boating safety. Here are the boating citations that FWC provided, county sheriff citations as well. Again, you see a concentration on the north end of the island and not so much down south. Boating incidents, again, concentrated to the down south. These are the causes of the incidents. One excessive speed incident down there. It looks like the lat long was a little bit off, but it does appear to be down in that area. Questions?
One thing that comes to mind is since now that even the legal posted speed is excessive, so citations really are almost irrelevant, right?
Well, yeah, and that's kind of the point was it's always been slow speed, you know. Not going to have that many citations down there because people were going slow.
Right.
So that we're using that as support, but that's not going to be our main push for this area.
I've got a quick question, and this is, I don't want to get ahead of it at all, but what if the organization put in a kayak launch?
Accessible to the public. Qualify.
And does the Clusa Blue Way go through there?
It kind of hugs the closer to the sea, but there are access points to the Blue Way, including Cottage Point, and listed. Those are included in our view,
Right, with
as
the
well as
pins.
in the ordinance.
Right now, there's nothing in that area.
That's all slow zone there.
I mean, the area where we're talking about, there's no kayak launches there at all.
There's one fishing pier that's just to the north of it, but I do not think that'll qualify. But, I did go do some kayak launches.
If I may, Lover's Key does have a launch, and they and there is access to.
Yeah, so the statute's very specific. It's a playbook. There's no interpretation available. So within 500 feet, establish an island.
More of your presentation.
That's it.
Okay. Well, there's a third thing we can do. We could look at the manatee angle too. I
And
know
that
that's
also
been
would require a study.
right.
Establish that there may be manatee numbers. Collier County and Lee County differ in that respect. There's a different location or rating, whereas so Collier County a lot more zones here.
Yeah, but I know Clam Pass is in Collier County. Pass, and they applied to the manatee zone in there, and they
It requires a study.
Any questions?
A video I'd like to share. I had the opportunity to go to the rooftop at Bay Beach. And is interested?
You project it on the?
Can't do it on there.
To figure out the AV.
No. Sure. I don't know how you're going to, if you're doing it, make it available to everybody. I'm not quite
To send it to,
Why don't you tell us what?
So the video shows quite a few boats going speed. Primarily, they're faster than speed that they're supposed to go. In my personal opinion, I think it's really dangerous. I've gone kayaking times. Almost impossible. I got tipped over by a boat. So I believe it's a safety issue, not only for wildlife, but for well. So I think it needs.
If I may add one last thing. One of the apparent things at FWC is comment was, we've heard from some of your residents down there. So reaching out to FWC and helping build our case and reaching out for the public to contact them definitely helps, because they were already aware that they were going to be getting a phone call from somebody from the town. So encourage that.
They have a petition. Should they send that to the FWC?
More than welcome to.
I've got in front of me the notebook for the council meeting. And there's going to be a proposed ordinance given to us, but my understanding is just because we passed this doesn't mean that it's automatic. The state then needs to approve what we pass.
FWC has a say in both.
Right,
They
so
do.
I want to clarify for everybody out there, if you see that the council passes it, that still doesn't mean we've gotten there. That the state gets to approve or disapprove what we do.
And like I said, we have a checklist that we have to follow, and that providing the drafted ordinance to them, showing communication with the other agencies, and then a site map is I believe the couple items that are required for the local ordinance that we pass. And then once we go to the bigger in-depth with the report, justification, that'll be separate. But yes, there is still a process, and yes, they still have to give us their blessing.
No, I heard you mention about an area area.
yeah, in front of Newton Park, Went Hall. Vessel exclusion.
This area is like, I recall, it's all like seawall, right? Here.
There's no swimming there whatsoever. No public access. as
Right,
far as
I mean,
know
that,
either.
you're talking about where Fishtail's at?
Right.
We're talking about the area we're
Twin
talking
Peaks
about
Channel,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't be.
Be a canoe or a kayak.
Again, if there was a boat launch or a landing facility that was accessible to the public.
There's no public access down there. Really private, I believe.
Tail used to no longer do. Asked if why that was.
Also, it's too far from.
Yeah, I mean, they have a fueling facility, but 500, whenever I did the 500-foot radius, that, out of the.
What are you targeting with the ordinance that you're going to present on, when you say? None of those are within 500 feet of this area, right? What are you saying? I mean, what's the first, within the ordinance, I'm just trying to figure out what your target is to be able to buy an ordinance.
But again, there was, I mean, this isn't the only concern. I know Pink Shell was concerned about idle, its kayak launch. Townhouse Key, I mean, whenever we were going through there, saw half a dozen kayaks going, boats and stuff. Question?
Well, no, yeah, not really, because I know that you said, and I understand that like the things that are objective are the quicker path. You're not asking for a study or like traffic or what's dangerous.
Right, so 1B, not require FWC to review it.
None of those physical things are within a
Correct.
distance.
For
Right, and so with that, this is probably not likely to be successful if you don't have any of these
not like
ordinance. And it would pass,
successful for those areas,
not for this area.
not for the fishtail, correct? That's what's going to require
The study.
study.
Okay, I
And we vetted that with FWC officials about the different options that we could take. And they agreed that this study and report and video, they can see. I even offered them to come out on our pump out boat and they can come take a look at it and didn't want to venture down. But they agreed that this is the best time.
One thing, where I think maybe, I don't know where the timeliness is, in this, but if the, and I know it's gated down there and there's not an easy way to make any kind of public access, but if they can make a nominally publicly accessible kayak launch, which wouldn't take a whole lot of space or a whole lot of resources, before you go through and ordinance through state, and that would give you a basis to do it. Is that right?
I think we could add it on whenever they do that. So I think putting the ordinance in place, protects areas that we can protect. And then if they make that decision to pursue that course of action, that puts us in a position where easily add in that area through a process, but we'll already laid the groundwork by having the ordinance.
How about if they put a diving board and a ladder? I mean, it sounds pretty silly, but you know, swimming area doesn't have to be a beach. There's been a lot of places around the world where they jump off of.
Well, I think we have to be careful that what we present to FWC is clearly going to meet their criteria versus, thing they're interpret to just be a means to an end.
Okay, but both of those options.
Yeah.
Anything else, anybody?
I mean, I read everything you provided us, Chad, and I think that's the only direction you can go is to get the support, getting the consultant, ring consultant, and having them add all the data. And I
mean, I do know that we've had manatees in that area, but I also know there's a lot of water flowing in and out. Could have died anywhere around, not necessarily. I don't know if it's worth pursuing the manatee angle currently. There are different ordinances. It's hard to try to initiate some kind of study. I know it's already a manatee zone for 6 months. I hate to have it go the other way and then decide that we're a manatee zone. That would.
We progress, we'll be sure to keep you updated. I know, I don't know if this committee, others takes the summer off, but we may be making progress and do an update as we move along.
Well, I had another question. Wouldn't the kayak launch be of limited value because you're still only limited to 500 feet from the kayak launch? So it's not going to really protect a big enough area down there? Am I looking at this correctly?
Unless you put up buoys for like a kayak.
No,
We
but
have
the
swim
speed
zones in
limit,
front of
the
our
speed limit
beaches.
in 500 feet of the launch.
Be a radius around it, not a.
Right. And I don't think, unless you put a kayak launch like right next to those docks that are being slammed, really not going to help much to put in a kayak launch.
Well, it would be a trick, because the other thing is there's, you know, the whole area there's a lot of, they take a great deal of effort into making it private. They have a gate, they have a guard, you know, and so that would make it difficult unless, you know, someone says, I want to launch my kayak, and they let them through. Or you put, you know, launch down at the end and the launch, you know, the other side or something. I'm not sure how that would play out, but I see what you're saying. It'd be kind of funny to have a little, you know, because you go out in a radius and they have 100
Slow zone,
foot
but
of
then the
slow zone.
speed limit would
Right.
go right back up
Resume, yeah. right
600
away.
feet away.
But at least, you know, it's like a speed bump rather than a speed limit change.
Water speed bump.
You know, a lot of it depends on what the association is willing to do to help with that effort. We'll have to wait until public comment afterwards. Sorry, you can talk to me anytime. Or you can talk to Rexanne or. And the other thing about the timing on this is that, you know, manatee season's coming up. It's going to go slow here in what, like 4 weeks, is it? So once that happens, then we pretty much have the entire season. Government time, that's not very much time. I really hate to have to wait until people start getting hurt before we start saying it's a safe logic, then they ask the ordinance. So. Right. Anything else anybody want to add? Move on. Okay. Well, thank you all for coming. You know where we are now, hopefully, and if you have any questions, you can reach out to any one of us.
Share some information with you?
Now we're past public comment, but you can talk to me privately.
Public comment at the end.
Come if you want to.
Things that you guys have brought up, you're aware of.
By all means, reach out to me. You can wait until the end of the meeting, another public comment period. But other than that, we're going to go on with the rest of our agenda. So, this doesn't look as a particularly long meeting, but we tend to go on for a while. But thank you again, and you know, we can always communicate. This is not the only place we.
Address?
I do. It's not a public record, but Billy
It's
Veach.
not public record?
Yeah, BillyVeach@gmail.com.
Look at the-
Now it's really public record. Right, thank you again. Okay, so now the next item on the agenda is something I brought up. Some time ago, we put 6 interpretive signs up on 6 different beach accesses. Those of you who were here, I just think right now it's just the 3 of us, right? We went through that process. I really like them. I think they worked well. I see a lot of people looking at them. We've already got the design done. We've done all the difficult work. I just like to have us ask council to get funding for more signs. I think, Chad has the signs, and I also have a sheet of where we put them all. But just if we ask to get funding for signs, then we'll just determine where they get placed. And there's 6 different topics. I think, how many beach accesses do we have here? Like, yeah, so we've got some.
If I may, I'm new, so if someone could explain why we're adding, they all new, and that 20 not been done.
Well, yeah, we got funding to design and place 6 interpretive signs. 6 different topics. There's birds, there's rack, there's trash, you might have seen them here and
I
there.
have, okay.
Yeah. And we just want to, I think it's a good idea if we get more of these signs.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
we have
agree.
20 on every beach access.
And I see a lot of people looking at them, so I think that,
I had a question. I was thinking about it, and because we're seasonal, we have different issues at different times. I know the design has already gone through and people like it, but what about an acrylic box? Actually change out different posters, flyers with educational information times. Just my,
that's a really good idea. We've done something like that,
oh,
although not quite that way.
okay.
But first, if this is okay, I'm going to make a motion that we request town council to fund 6 more of the, or put it on the TDC funding for 6 more of the interpretive signs.
Grace Heil, second the motion.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, and that passes. Now, just to go on to what you were talking about, we've had these, we have these kind of like seasonal signs, rotating signs, and they have different messages. So we have some that are really about turtles. Put them up during turtle season. Not turtle season, put up signs about birds and dogs on leashes and garbage and this kind of. They're out there. You're out, Steve knows where all the bodies are buried with that. You want to be involved with it? I think all it takes is a screwdriver and you can move signs around, and I think it keeps them fresh. People see the same sign every time, they start to ignore them. It's good to change.
Switch them up.
So something like that, it's not really for educational, it's more like pithy little statement. Okay, reusable bags.
Which, there's a change. Yeah, we are down to 2. So we'll have 2 openings still. I feel you gotta push this month. Looking for help like crazy. Jennifer got us another spot. I'll put the update, but I sent out the update to y'all. And so there's 2 signs left, or 2 spots left. This is a reusable bag that we have, and we're selling spots on the back. There's 16. Well, we need 2. Need 2 more. And we're languishing. Yeah. We're sponsors. Once we get those 2, we can move forward with it. So
I did put in a call to Marcel with Coast and Diamond Head. He has sent it off to marketing, and it's a little process. So I have put in a call today to see where we are at. I've also reached out to us with Roberta, who is the manager there, and I'm going to see if she calls me back.
Yeah, I think, I know the thing you're talking about, like when you go to a big company, it gets involved, because we went to Publix and they told us we request it, and then it gets to the point where all the paperwork and stuff is not worth it to the town staff to put hours of work into do it. Anyway. So, I think that people, I hate to ask other people to do stuff, but I think, we have to go and knock on some doors, realtors' offices. We have a lot of local businesses here that might do it. We're just so close. I get a lot of talk from people who've done it, already signed up, and they are,
I'm wondering where it's at, because that's
Where it's
my
at.
concern, is that those that committed early now, when you come back, it's a new year now as well. They, no, because we originally had about half of them sold before the town sponsored the first printing, and back to some of those individuals, and many of them said, no, not, they're out this time of year.
The problem with going door to door right now is they're busy. The management's busy. It's season. But I'm walking. I'm for a long walk this week.
That would be great if you can get these. If we can get these last 2 done, we can move. Just get, a couple of insurance ones.
We reached out to the Chamber of, again, I'm new as well, so we reached out to the Chamber of Commerce to see if they can help us, not them individually, but they can help identify the individuals within the chamber that might be.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I mean, we have actually committed, they've pledged to be on this one, the chamber
Right.
itself.
The chamber itself.
But the first time around, I went to the chamber luncheons.
Okay.
And we had a table, another member sat and interviewed everybody. And we'd actually get a couple people that way. We haven't done it this time around, but there's also, I believe, the chamber chatter or some kind of newsletter that's sent out.
I was
Chamber.
wondering, yeah.
And you know what, that's probably a real quick hit if I prepare them an image that they'll drop into the chatter. I bet you, especially when you make a case that there's 2 left.
Yeah, I just
So,
wonder if
that's
it
a
would be
good
an
idea.
easy way to put it back in
Megan,
front
yeah.
of people, put it back in front of a group of business people that may have not thought about it before or said no in the past and might be willing to do it again.
We probably just talk to Jackie.
Yeah.
Pull out a couple of those aces that you're holding in your deck and just get on somebody for us. So I think that's a great idea. I'll talk to Jackie then. And
Go forward with it. Do we have to have those other 2?
We would print less, I think, ultimately, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Bill, I think that's, it's sort of,
But we also, we have to go back and repitch it to everybody who we told them this is how many bags would be out there on it. So if we reduce the number, it means you have to go back and repitch it. Or leave a couple blank.
The town will take them.
You know, the town is an option. They've been trying to put a town logo on there.
that's true.
Get this thing moving.
And
We need to get the invoices out, what we really got.
Who actually pays.
Pledges are one thing, but in the proper, they're not.
Pledge sheets, yeah, but
So
still,
Gregory, what marinas do you know that might be interested? Or really into that?
yeah, I thought,
You go to Moss Marina, Salty Sound, Fish Tail. Yeah, I can go to Pink Shell immediately.
Do that. I mean, if you have an insight into an industry, you know,
I don't know what it is, but I pay them a lot of money every month.
right, well, right,
I can at least ask them, right? I'll do
Right.
that.
I can reach out to Fishtail, the new
They should, they're
marina
always
director.
generous. They're always
that'd be
generous
great.
with the
Yeah.
schools
New
and
owners?
system.
There's the new owners, there's a new marina a new marina group that just bought Fishtail. So I can reach out to them. And then I did also reach out to Blue Ribbon Events, to the Plein Air Art Festival Park, which was at the end of February, and they're doing a mermaid festival in April. And I approached them about potentially being a sponsor, because the whole purpose behind those events is to be as environmentally friendly as possible and to bring as much awareness about our waterways and sustainability during the events.
I wonder if Lee County Beautiful does that. They're part of the county
private
essentially,
or that, yeah,
but still they may do it.
government, yeah.
For public, they might take a spot.
We tried, that's what we have to go and,
1,000 paperwork, seeing.
yeah, and I don't know if, I sent it on to Chad, but I can hear the brakes coming on as soon as they said that. It was also the thing right now, they're, and they also have something in front of
Which one
council,
got
so.
closed?
Terrible.
5, 9, or
I
15?
sent out,
Who sold the last spot? Your what spot number did
Jennifer, I
they
may
take?
still have that pledge spot sheet. Yep, yeah, I just didn't print it back out.
I think
It's on my
5 and
PC.
15 are available.
5 and 15?
Correct.
They took 9. They took 9.
9, correct.
Was that
It was
again?
Fresh Connection.
New vegetarian that's Sea Gypsy.
Vegan.
Vegan, from Mr. Tequila's.
They're-
Corner.
They're also in Loni Kai.
Tuckaway doing?
That's what we didn't do it.
I spoke with them, and he has his own bags they promote.
For him, but
How about that?
I think we
Way down there.
we
Really scrumptious.
can try. It's a better reason too.
I know. Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay, well, everybody, if you know anybody, there's no such thing as too much of an effort on this to get across the line.
No.
And, if we get extra ones,
That'll help,
so
yeah.
we'll put them in reserve because it's been dragging, and let's get these suckers
The
paid.
wall at 14.
Do you have more bags?
I have some. Now, there is a condo association, a different condo association, meeting tomorrow, and I'm going to give bags away there, and then whatever I have left over, need to get rid. Just need enough for the sample. You have one?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, anything else?
Oh, take it to the next level.
Yeah.
We still have to invoice them, collect money, images.
There's still some work to be done, yeah.
That's
Are they only good for till the end of 2000?
forever.
Will you be,
We'll be renewing it again after we get 16. Group might be, but I can tell you who's not. Eating it.
It's a good idea, and I think that once we get through another group, we'll look at it and,
Let's see if we can
you know.
fine tune it. This is our first time we've done it alone, so.
The first time, I don't know, but a lot of us have, first time I've gone asking for money for sponsorships, so a little weird.
Problem with it.
Two
All right,
more.
we'll get this one, then we'll make decisions later, right?
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on then. Anybody got a Murphy?
I do. Gave a talk to Troop Girl Scouts Junior Troop 2055 down to Lynn Hall Park, and I gave a turtle time talk to them, and they also spent the day picking up garbage, and were very excited. They also made a video, informational video on turtle time and saving turtles matter. And I believe we have a poster up in the,
Yes, right up front.
check it out. Deserve it.
Okay, that's a good one. Steve?
The Murphy. So Island Winds Condo. I know we like individuals, but we have done organizations before. They have invested in wildlife lighting for their entire condo unit. We were going to go there for a tour on Sunday night. Get out so I could get more information that was chosen and/or get the information for the bank. We also still have the turtle mural.
Yeah,
Bank.
that was still in the bank, yeah. Sometimes, just so you know, our own little terms here, that we use bank because sometimes we don't have a Murphy, so we like to have one backup just in case no one really comes across anything, so we're not left stranded on it. So. Okay. So then we have two choices for the Murphy Award. One is the Girl Scout Troop and their turtle and trash advocacy work. And the other is Island Winds Condo for their turtle lighting efforts. So I have a motion all in favor of, well, I'll say a motion to select the Girl Scout Troop for the Murphy Award. All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. I'll make another motion that we put the Island Winds condo in the bank, the Murphy Award, in case we don't get one for a future month or don't meet for some reason.
Did they?
I'll pay for it. And they, yeah, 'cause
Okay, all in favor for having Island Winds condo in the bank? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, I feel like I voted for Steve. Okay. Right, so that runs us through the regular agenda. Now, next, we've got member items and reports, and this is where you guys can bring up anything you think is relevant to the committee you want to talk about.
Reports at this time.
No reports.
Want this in?
Sure, we'll fling it over there.
I don't have any reports. I do have something, and I brought it up here in public comment a couple of weeks ago. As we're thinking forward about things that we can do to make our marine environment safer, I think we should think about voluntarily encouraging businesses to use marine safe and reef safe sunscreen. There's a big disconnect between what is actually safe for the marine life and what is not, and the packaging is not necessarily always the answer. So I think it's something, I know that it's something that we cannot do a preemptive ban on, so I'm not even advocating for that. But I think that if you look at Hawaii, has not quite implemented their sunscreen ban yet, but through education alone have started to see a rebound of their reef system. So I think we can do a significant amount through education. And I think that at some point in the near future, we might want to consider that as an individual action item.
we have somebody present on something like that, some group? They did a presentation.
Oh, good.
We can ask them to.
I can pull together information. I have information for you if you want to pull it together, and I can send it your direction and provide all the scientific support that goes into it as well. So, and the reality is that though it's not good for our marine environment, it's pretty awful for us as humans as well. So I think it's from a public health perspective, but also from an environmental perspective, something that we should consider.
I know, as in last year, they had signs posted all over just saying the type of sunscreen you're looking for, or eco-friendly. Kind of push you to look in that direction, so you look at what your bottles it had. It was kind of neat. I'm trying to see if I took a picture of it.
I'd be interested to know, because I understand the reef safe, but we're more of a seagrass as opposed to reef area.
So it's all marine life. So the chemicals that are currently on bans, depending upon where you're looking at the bans, there's anywhere between 2 and 13. They're on a list of chemicals that are perceived to be dangerous or known to be dangerous to marine life. The FDA just did a study looking at the human population to find out that 96% of us have a high level of those chemicals in our body as well. And preliminary research in humans, as well as the scientific research, has shown that most of these chemicals are endocrine disruptors. They're estrogen mimickers, which means that it's causing issues with fish reproduction. So it's causing issues with fish reproduction. It's causing, it's obesogenic in humans. So it's triggering some of those estrogen receptors that we see, triggering obesity kind of responses. And so if you look at the impact that it's
You
having.
say obesity kind of responses?
Obesogenic responses, because it starts to mimic estrogen. So it starts to be an adipose depositor.
Some sunscreens make you fat?
Pretty much. It's not just the sunscreens, it's these chemicals are in most of your hair care products, any cosmetics types of things. And it's one of the components that's going into contributing to some of the underlying obesity that we're seeing across the nation. Now, this is not the answer to everything. Diet and exercise are definitely a component of it. But when we start to look at how our body responds to some of these chemicals, it's pretty significant, and most of it is in a non-positive way. The FDA, JAMA just did a huge study a couple of months ago where they came out with a call to look at human studies with these chemicals, because this is really the first time that the FDA is really reviewing these types of chemicals and their usage and the impact on the human environment as well as the marine environment.
A question. So it seems like you're pretty knowledgeable on this. And I'm actually interested. I'm very interested. Let me ask you, so when those lotions and come off and they come into the water, what do they do? Is it like the oils? Do they float on the surface of the water?
So it depends upon, and it depends upon the chemical, right? So if it's an oil, you're going to see a surface. But the chemicals themselves are going to actually leach into the water the more you're into the water, and it's more at a particle level. And so they start to interact with the other chemicals. The fish start to ingest them. The bigger the fish, the more often they ingest them, the bigger problems that they're having. And we're seeing it. It's really visible to see on a reef system, but I'm personally more concerned about our mangrove system in the back, because it's an estuary for so many nurseries. Small fish, that's the nursery, a nursery component of it. And all of these chemicals have a negative impact on fish reproduction as well.
I would, one suggestion is, we have a monthly story, the Shoreline Spotlight that goes on the Observer now. It's about 600 to 800 words. If you want to write a story,
Sure.
about it, I think keeping it as light as possible for people usually seems to work. I like the angle of, your sunscreen making you fat. Even though it's just a lead-in and we know it's not the answer, it's a good way to get people's attention. And if you want, you can, if you write something, if you want me to help you with it, I can do that too. On editing it.
It probably needs at least When is the deadline? When does that,
Usually the Monday, early Monday, week of the MRF meeting. It usually goes in the day of the meeting, so there's a story in the paper today.
okay.
And then there's some other, I also put in the Murphy Ward and just notice about when the next meeting is. It'll be an interesting story, because I'm interested just listening to you, and I wouldn't mind reading it, so. Already have an audience of 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever.
Too bad. What are the two worst?
The two that, well, I don't know, if I want
Most
to be
common,
careful, I want to be
most
careful
common.
about which are the worst
Most
for
common.
us. The two that are most often banned, so the Key West ban and the Hawaii ban, are oxybenzone and oxyoxynate. And those are the two oxys that are banned. And what some companies have done is that instead of, they've replaced those two chemicals with chemicals that are just as bad. So they've eliminated those. Now, if you look internationally, Palau has done the broadest ban across the entire country. And they have banned all 10, don't quote me, it's either all 10 or all 12 of the chemicals that we've identified as being not safe for the marine environment. Now, Palau is basically a giant natural park, so that's part of the reason why they do that. There's a concern, at least when people started talking about the Key West sunscreen ban, there was a concern in Tallahassee about the fact that, well, wait a minute, we're telling people not to use sunscreen, and now we're going to have an issue with skin cancer. And the reality is, with sunscreens, we have healthier alternatives. They're mineral-based sunscreens. They sit on the surface of the skin. They don't leach into the body, and they don't necessarily have a negative impact on the marine environment. So we have healthier alternatives that we can use. It's just a matter of educating the population on which is the right one and which is not. And it comes down to just about any other marketing component that's out there. It's not what's on the front of a package that's important. It's the ingredient list on the back, because that's the piece that's regulated. The front piece is very minimally regulated, much like it is with most food products.
One of the things that's coming up, and I know you may know Roxanne, but there was something on the administrative agenda for your next meeting that I think a company wanted to come and do a sunscreen demonstration on land, but it's an individual company. And my thing was, if it was like the AMA or somebody wanted to come and do a demonstration on sunscreen, that'd be one thing. But the company, I don't know if it's a very good idea.
It's an application for a special event.
Yeah. But if they're, an event where we can get multiple companies and have dermatologist approved sunscreen, sunscreen demonstrated at a beach during spring break, would be great. That'd be a good way to get the awareness out.
There's currently
The company paid for the permit. I don't think they'll want to piggyback with anybody else, though.
If they get this.
Yes.
But they still have to get this through council. And that's a big step to say, you're going to kind of rent out your public spaces to.
So there is an initiative that we can tag on to with the American Cancer Association specifically for spring break. It's a skin cancer awareness initiative that's going across college campuses. So we probably couldn't tag on to it for this spring break, given that we're sort of already in the middle of it. But I can continue my conversation with them based on some work that I do at the national level about potentially doing something. And as part of that initiative, they actually supply sunscreen for college campuses to use if they meet criteria, like they don't have sun college campus thing. So it's all tied to that skin cancer awareness component, and using what you should use and when you should use it.
Town at Fort Myers Beach do anything for like Earth Day? Do we have any events?
I think in the past, one of the committees, and I don't know which one, did do, I seem to remember Carrie Henry Week had something down at Santini. They put up a tent and passed out information. As membership changes on the committees, things die out and different things are done.
Right. They used to do the Mulholland Award too, maybe on Earth Day?
I was just thinking that, because one thing we have to make, Chad, you're new, but every year we have a Mulholland Award, and that takes, we have to ask for applications. IRF gets the applications, makes our recommendations to town council, and town council's got to votes on it, and then issues it on Earth Day, which is in April. So we,
That plaque back there.
There, yeah, that's true. That's
so we really probably need to get going on that. You can probably find the information. If not, I might have it. We can put something in the paper saying, ask for recommendations, and everybody in the next meeting can make their own recommendations. And then the committee will make recommendations to council, but council will ultimately decide who gets a Mulholland Award. The Mulholland Award is for businesses and individuals, and is kind of like a lifetime achievement for environmental stewardship. Like the Murphy, but more of a, only people we really haven't given Murphy Awards or Mulholland Awards are active members of Murphy. Make sure we get that on the agenda.
FYI.
Yeah. Right. Anything else?
Thank you very much.
Great.
Good, thank you.
Member reports, couple. One is, noticed that the agenda item slipped off. I mean, we haven't had a glyphosate update for a while. Have we? You know, that's at? The glyphosate? Oh, that's where it's at. It's preempted. Agriculture.
That essentially means
And
kind
that
of
was
like,
new legislation that's preempted. I know they were working on it.
I think it's been around actually. The herbicide one, I think that was before
Well,
we started working on it.
Right, there was
Because-
language in there
right.
that they felt.
Because pesticides legally are also, they include herbicides,
Herbicides.
and it's an herbicide.
The purpose.
I think even before we got going, that was in there, but we had some questions about, we thought pesticides were more for trolleys and plants, but legally, I think it's considered a global term. The other thing is the fertilizer ordinance has passed, right? That's been through all the readings and it's passed. Thank you, council, by the way. So those, those dropped off for good and bad reasons.
Right. Also, the Sterile Boulevard lighting was removed.
Oh, that was.
Maybe I'll just include that in my member report.
Okay,
I'll
let's do that, but we probably want to keep that on the agenda until
Just
it gets
open it up.
resolved.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have, I suppose I'm sort of keeping it on there to keep everybody up to date where it's at, as best I can.
You're going on the Beach Talk Radio thing, aren't you?
No, I went on for the Tarpon Hunters, I'm the president of the Fort Myers Beach Tarpon Hunters Club, which was a fishing club that was founded back in 1962. Anyway, I'm doing my 2-year term for those folks, so I went on there to try to push attendance to our recruiting event. Get more beach members on it, which did sign up a few new.
So tell us.
So I guess maybe I can give you a State of the Union where things are at. There was a consultant hired that came in and spoke to the town council at their M&P meeting, and consequently was released. And my understanding is there's been another consultant of sorts, or at least a environmental lighting design person that's been involved, and maybe coming to talk to town council about some other options that they had asked to investigate in the first place. So, couple things also. In regards to that, I think there may be some solar, potentially some solar offerings. We've done a little bit more research, and back in Dania, how do you pronounce that? D-A-N-I-A, Dania Beach? Dania Beach, Florida, Dania Beach,
Dania Beach. Atlantic side.
After Wilma, apparently, they weren't happy with of the support they received to get their lighting back on, so they actually went solar. Drove them to go to solar. Now, they didn't put any amber lights in there, just solar. They were just these, but they put in 300, so there's been already some cases around the beach for some reason, or around the state. Also in Texas, actually they put in some amber street lights. It's interesting, even had a cost there. It was roughly $3,700 a piece. Irving, Texas put in 5.5 miles worth of solar LED lighting. So again, not amber, solar LED lighting, street lightings, 5.5 miles of street lighting. They were able to replace 170 fixtures. They replaced 266 grid-connected fixtures for 170, and I've saved $1 million over 3 years. What was interesting about that is they actually were able to get a $2 million DOE grant, the CBG grant, to do that work. So that's, I think that's interesting. Some of these may come up with the consultant, they may not, but there's been others. Bradenton Beach actually has actually put in amber LED streetlights. They're decorative. So that might be interesting to actually drive up and take a look at. But
Beaches again?
Bradenton Beach, relatively close. That was in 2009. There's called SEPCO Electric Power Company that does solar. I suppose where it's at right now is there's both public and private options, open that the town will have to consider. One that came from the consultant that came to the council was Duke Energy. Like a player, it doesn't have to be FL. Advantage of Duke is that they will allow third-party fixture rating, so it doesn't have to be on their approved product list, which is the problem we're having with FPL. They have one amber solution, and it's one. Otherwise, then you need to pursue a private system that you would design, proven critical contractor put these issues with FPL and monthly and with the energy.
Yeah, I think the big advantage of working with FPNL is that's the way you access their existing poles.
Mm-hmm.
They won't probably let you put anything on their poles. They also tend to like to put big lights way high.
Yeah, although I think if there's another utility provider, you have to, right? That's part of deregulation. Oh, I mean, it's just like telecommunications. You have to allow them to use your... That's pure speculation, so I'm just one of those where I'm like, of course they have to. But that's not, I'm not the solution provider, but I just thought it'd be worth bringing up. I think things are moving in the right direction. I don't know if you agree or not, Roxanne, but
Slow but sure.
slowly but surely, exactly. So that's the update.
Yeah, because Rexanne will be around no matter what on this some more. But I think, there's a lot of options. I mean, for me, I'm used to handling like you would a business. We're saying, let's get all of our options, because you have FP&L, you have leasing it from some other utility, you have solar, you have putting in a system and then financing it or leasing it. I mean, you can do it through private, you can do it through the utilities. I mean, there's lots of different ways.
Yeah.
And the costs will come down, and, maybe, if you're coming up with a solution that does not involve FP&L, it'll get them off the fence and have them.
Yeah.
do what we
Well, I
need.
think the first step is to really get at least a real cost estimate of amber would cost, because what FPL has provided is just astronomical. Back of the envelope, no way it's going to cost $7.5 million or whatever it is. So it put things back in perspective, I'd say.
Rexanne, have you talked to Christy at
Sesco.
Sesco? She's very informative. I talked to her for a while.
Be presenting to town council. That's actually the person.
Will she be?
She was the person that was contacted after the one that was let go. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's real good news.
It's a good conversation to have, because she dealt with FPNL, she's dealt with FWC,
Looking forward to it.
and she's in the business. She's not just telling you, educating you. She should be able to find solutions.
Yeah. It's just figures out what you need.
She wants to sell you stuff, but know that going in. It's not like,
Yeah. Well, amber lighting is also not. It's not a commodity. It provides a different spectrum, I believe. They're replacing a.
and a lot of, it's really not necessarily an all or nothing. I mean, complete amber lights, maybe you can go a little bit above because they're far away and shield them, and there's a lot of range between approximately what I figured out, like 1,400. These,
Yeah, about 1,700.
and I got a little less than that, and then to the 5,000 bright shiny.
Yeah. I think that's it.
A question. Does anyone know what time Bay Oaks lights are night. I had noticed them on last year during season. And at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
You mean the ball field lights?
Yes.
Yeah.
You can see that.
Been brought up, I think. It's been an issue, but I'm sure Public Works staff has to make sure they down with them. That's the answer. It wouldn't. I think there might be a timer in there.
It's not working then.
Yeah.
It could have been a whoops, I don't know. I know they do glow a lot, but
Game at 4.
yeah, I don't think they, during turtle season. Great. Anything else for anybody? No, I don't have anything. We pretty much hammered it all out here. Okay, public comment? You know the drill.
I do. Tim Horkatich, I'm a Bay Beach resident, also a boater. Wanted to speak a little bit more on the speed limit issue. You mentioned that one of the things that you considered was the Florida Manatee Sanctuary Act and our ability through the local town to make an ordinance there. And I did wanted to point out, a study is not required by the statute. In fact, what it says is that other available, relevant, reliable information, including observations that support the conclusion that manatees inhabit these areas. So I believe that there is an opportunity. We have made many observations associated with the manatees in the area. I also talked with the Estero Bay Aquatic Preserve. And the manager there indicated that they do make observations from time to time. And in this time period, they have also observed manatees. So again, I think there are some reliable observations that might be used to help you to justify that particular ordinance. Finally, I just want to say thank you so much to you and town staff for all that you're doing. We really do appreciate it. Anything we can do to help, we will absolutely do. So thank you.
Could you just repeat, what's the name of that, the manatee,
Florida Manatee Sanctuary Act?
Yeah, it's actually Chapter 379, Part 2, Paragraph 2P.
I think isn't the one that applies to the other part of the channel?
Well, it's in your packet. It applies to all of Florida. Again, yeah, to your point, they're looking to see what the manatee zone can be year-round. During.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, my name is John Russo. Beach resident for over 36 years. I appreciate everything that this council, these members have done, Mr. V, especially you, the leader here, and we do everybody at Bay Beach. In this addendum, or the proposal, it seems that there's only 3 criteria that are major that can stop this thing. Manatees, excessive citations, and boater safety. I've been a resident for 36 years, and I've lived on this channel for 36 years, for 36 winters. Nobody can tell me there's no manatees there in the wintertime. I've seen them. They come up to my boat while I was washing it. They love the hose. We have numerous sightings from waterside residents. The manatees are present right now. We had one last week, the 3rd week in January. Danner of St. Croix Boat Works was detailing a boat on Sea Dock, when a mother and her baby came right up there and stood there for almost 10 to 12 minutes, just hanging around. They feed in that area. There's been 4 sightings from people from Waterside 3 and Waterside 5, mostly from the penthouse units because you could see down. So I don't understand, does November 1st, somebody send out an email to all the manatees and they have to leave and go up to the power plants? Where did they go before the power plants? That water back there, okay, is not the temperature of the water in the Gulf. It's low-lying water. They feed back there. It's warmer, and they're there. They're there now. So, study, I don't know how you do a study to say that there's no manatees there. Unless somebody lived almost 40 years on that thing, on that canal, they tell me different, then I'll believe them. But that's not the case. Secondly, the boat traffic safety. How are we going to do a boat traffic study now, off-season, when nobody's speeding there? It's going back to a idle, no-wake zone. So how do you do a study? The study should have been done while in season. I see it from my lanai every day. 10 to 20 boats at a time going up and down that channel, and boats speeding by, knocking especially the smaller boats. That video, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's a prime example. So how do we do a study now when we're off season? And the other thing is the citations for boating. 30 years, it was a no-wake zone. So there's no citations there. You can't prove citations that aren't there. We don't have any police presence there. I called the Marine Police, Lee County, 5 times. Never got through. I finally, on the 6th time, got somebody. I had to leave a message. The person called me back a day and a half later. It was a sergeant, nice gentleman, and he gave me a number of excuses. We're investigating murders. I'm short-handed. We don't have enough boats in the area. We don't have enough manpower. And I said, all I'm asking is just your presence. Just be there, and the boats will slow down. The gal from ABC News was there with a radar gun, and she's clocking people at 33 miles an hour. Now, you know 25 miles an hour means 45. I see the boats going by. Nobody's doing 25 miles an hour there. But we have no police presence. There's 0 police presence there. And I begged them, come on out. We get no help from Lee County Sheriff. 0 help. So I don't understand how we can have citations or even control the speed limit, even though it's 25, when we have no police there. Today, at 11:28, in 2.5 months, I seen a Lee County Sheriff's boat go by at about 45 miles an hour, not with sirens on or anything like that, but just going. And then he stopped at Fishtail and pulled in. So, criteria that we're looking for here, I don't know how we're going to get it, because it's there. There are manatees there. There is a boat safety problem there because that channel is so congested at times with between 10 to 15 to 20 boats. How are we going to prove it now, off season? I don't know. I do appreciate everything you're doing, and I know to go forward like this, but I don't know the answer. And we can't go through another season. There's no way that we can tolerate another season. I know we can't talk about the damage to our personal property, but we're almost at $300,000 in damage. But I invite anybody who wants to come out, stand on my boat dock while I'm trying to launch it and tell me it's safe. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, John. Okay. Any more public comment? All right, so let's set agenda for the next meeting, Chad. Are we going to add lighting? Add sunscreen? Anything else anybody wants to add to the agenda? All right. And I move we adjourn.
Yeah.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thanks. Be anxious to adjourn there.
Well, we're at the end, I see a new record in our,
Missed it by a
it's
minute.
usually about 5:30.
Yeah, that 4:12.
I mean, it was,
Oh, yeah, he wasn't here, that's right.
I thought it was
This
funny.
wasn't good.
Oh, that one you're talking about, yeah, that's right.
What was that?
Remember that one? This one, yeah, that's right, when Shannon was, I think. Was that when Shannon, when you missed?
Compromise between the public and the.
I don't know, 3 or 4.
Did, I was skiing or something.
Right at town, I think, yeah. So we were here with Shannon, I think it was Shannon. Yeah, because I don't know, so, going pretty quick.
April 8th.
Whatever, that'll probably be right. Second is second Wednesday.
Second Wednesday of the month usually, yeah.
World Oceans Day.
Ah, there you go. Okay.
In Big Carlos,
Aye,
that's
aye.
unlimited.
Okay.
That's unlimited.
Oh, I'll be in Little
So,
Make sure you let
let
Chad
him
know.
know.
Glad you said.
Shoot him an
Just,
email.
you say, you get like a week before you go, before the meeting.
Yeah.
Just don't
I
space it
forgot,
out.
a last minute time trip, going with my daughter and her husband.
I mean,
Little Canaan, I've never been to Little Canaan.
Are you walking the
Where,
Yeah.
you want to,